if I was really concerned about being politically correct, I wouldn't have joined the administration. I do think that there appears to be a phenomenon in the country where African Americans feel that they're treated, when they're stopped by police frequently, as suspects before they're treated as citizens. I don't think that that necessarily reflects some deep-seated racism in police departments or in most police officers. I think the same kind of behavior is done by African American police officers. I think there are stereotypes. I think people operate very frequently according to stereotypes, and I think it takes extra precaution on the part of law enforcement to make sure we don't reduce people to stereotypes. We treat them as individuals. I think the narrative that that the police are on some epidemic of shooting unarmed black men is simply a false narrative, and also the narrative that that's based on race. The fact of the matter is it's very rare for an unarmed African American to be shot by a white police officer. There were 10 cases last year. 6 of them, the suspect was attacking the police officer physically. So these are rare things compared to the 7,000 to 8,000 young black men who are killed every year.
Because you've said you don't believe there's systemic racism in the justice in our justice system and among the police, but you did say this. You did say, I do think it is a widespread phenomenon that African American males in particular are treated with extra suspicion and maybe not given the benefit of the doubt.
That's what I just said.
But doesn't that sound like systemic racism?
No. To me, the word systemic means that it's built into the institution. And I don't think that's true. I think our institutions have been reformed in the past 60 years, and if anything has been built in, it's a bias to non-discrimination and safeguards against that. And so that's what I'm reacting to on systemic. And also I think we have to be a little careful about throwing the idea of racism around. Racism usually means, that I believe that because of your race, you're a lesser human being than me. And I think there are people in the United States that feel that way, but I don't think it is as common as people suggest. And I think we have safeguards to ensure that it doesn't really have an effect to someone's future. I think we've made a lot of progress in the past 60 years. To listen to the American left nowadays, you'd think we've gotten nowhere after all. There's
no doubt there's been a lot of progress, but do you think black people are treated differently by law enforcement than white people?
I think there are some situations where statistics which suggest that they are treated differently, but I don't think that that's necessarily racism. Well, like, didn't Jesse Jackson say that when he looks behind him and he sees a group of young black males walking behind him, he's more scared than when he sees a group of white youths walking behind him? Does that make him a racist? Does that make him a racist?
But it sounds like there are two systems, one for blacks, one for whites. That sounds like there's still racism in the justice system.
Well, no, I think we have to make sure that stereotypes do not govern our actions in the justice system, and I think police departments do a pretty good job of trying to police against that. And I think there's more progress that can be made and more reform, and we're going about that. But the demonization of the police and the idea that this is so widespread an epidemic is simply wrong.
On Monday night, President Trump compared the police shootings, like Jacob Blake's, for example, in his words, to a golfer choking and missing a 3-foot putt. Is that how you view police shootings, like a golfer missing a 3-foot putt?
No, I think what the president was saying there, and it's something that I think should be said and has to be said, that in many of these shooting situations, it is not because of race. It's because the officer is scared for his life and is in a situation where a half a second can mean the difference between his life and his death, and he's wrestling with somebody, and they sometimes may do things that appear in hindsight to be excessive. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's racism.